Imagine this tonight. We're going somewhere special, somewhere ancient, somewhere that changed everything about how humans sleep, dream, and survive. Before you drift away, I want you to know something important. This isn't just another sleep story. This is the story of your ancestors, the story of how they survived the longest, darkest, coldest nights that Earth has ever known. And by the end of tonight's journey, you'll understand something profound about yourself, about why you sleep the way you do, about why darkness doesn't have to mean danger. So get comfortable, pull your blankets close, and if you're enjoying this journey already, gently tap that like button. It helps others find this peaceful place too. Now, let the world fade away. We're going back 30,000 years. Chapter 1. The last winter night. The wind screams across the frozen plain like a wounded animal. You stand at the edge of a forest that looks dead. Skeletal trees claw at a grey sky that promises nothing but more cold, more ice, more endless winter. This is Ice Age Europe, and you are one of the last humans left alive in this frozen world. Your name doesn't matter anymore. Names are luxuries for people who have enough food to waste breath on words. Right now, you are simply trying to survive until sunrise, and that's still 8 hours away. The temperature has dropped to 20 degrees below zero. Without modern clothing, without heated homes, without any of the comforts you take for granted, you would die out here in less than 2 hours. Your ancestors knew this. They felt it in their bones every single day. But they had a secret that kept them alive through winters that lasted for months, through blizzards that buried entire valleys, through nights so cold that your breath would freeze in your lungs. That secret was simple. It was a hole in the ground, a crack in the mountainside, a hollow space beneath the earth where stone held the memory of warmth. It was a cave, and tonight, that cave will save your life. You trudge forward through snow that reaches your knees. Each step is a battle. Each breath burns your throat. Your fingers have gone numb inside their wrappings of animal hide. Behind you, your family struggles too. An elder woman who survived 40 winters. A young mother carrying a baby wrapped against her chest. 3 children who haven't complained once, because they know complaining wastes the energy needed to walk. And then you see it. A dark opening in the cliff face ahead. Just a shadow against white snow. But to you, it looks like the most beautiful thing in the world. It looks like home. Here's something that will surprise you. Archaeologists used to think caves were just temporary shelters, places where ancient humans hid for a night or two before moving on. But then they started finding something strange. Layer after layer of ash, soot stains on ceilings that were inches thick, tool-making areas that showed years of use, sleeping spaces that had been carefully maintained and rebuilt over generations. Some caves weren't temporary at all. They were homes. Real homes where families returned every winter for hundreds, sometimes thousands of years. Think about that for a moment. While you lie in your modern bed, in your climate-controlled room, protected by walls and locks and technology, remember this. Your ancestors survived in conditions that would kill you in hours, and they did it by understanding something we've almost forgotten. They understood how to truly rest, how to surrender to the night, how to trust the darkness. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you something. Where are you right now? What time is it? Are you in a warm bed? On a cold night? Leave a comment and tell me. It helps me know you're there. It helps me tell these stories better. Now, step into the cave with me, because everything is about to change. Chapter 2. The Cave That Changed Everything. The moment you cross the threshold, the world transforms. The howling wind cuts off like someone closed a door. The icy blast that was cutting through your furs suddenly stops. You stand very still, letting your eyes adjust to the darkness. The cave mouth behind you glows faintly with the blue-white light of snow and evening sky. But ahead, there is only blackness. Deep, complete, ancient darkness. Your breath slows, your heartbeat steadies, and for the first time in hours you feel something other than cold. You feel possibility. Here's what's really happening, though you don't have words for it yet. The cave is acting like a thermal battery. During the summer, the stone absorbed heat from the sun. Now, deep in winter, that heat is slowly, steadily radiating back out. The temperature inside this cave is around 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside, it's 20 below zero. That 65-degree difference, that's the difference between life and death. But caves do something else too. Something modern scientists are only recently beginning to understand. They stabilize everything. Temperature doesn't swing wildly from hot to cold. Humidity stays relatively constant. Even sound behaves differently, echoing and amplifying in ways that would change human culture forever. You move deeper into the cave, one hand trailing along the wall. The stone is cool but not freezing, slightly damp, rough in some places, worn smooth in others by thousands of years of water flowing over it. And then your hand touches something else, something that makes you stop breathing. Scratches, deep gouges in the stone, 3 parallel lines that could only have been made by one thing. Claws, bear claws. Here's a controversy that archaeologists still argue about today. Did humans steal caves from bears, or did they share them? Evidence suggests both might be true. At a famous site called Chauvet Cave in France, scientists found something incredible: human footprints and bear paw prints in the same clay floor. But here's the shocking part. The prints don't overlap. They're from different time periods. Humans and bears use the same cave, but at different times. It's like they had an agreement. The bears used it in summer. The humans took over in winter. A timeshare arrangement that lasted for thousands of years. But not every encounter was peaceful. Some caves show signs of violence. Burned bear bones near human hearths. Human remains with bite marks. The battle for shelter was real. And sometimes both sides lost. You pull your hand away from the claw marks and keep moving. The children huddle close behind you, silent and wide-eyed. They've seen those marks too. They know what made them, but you also know something else. Those scratches are old, very old. No fresh scent of bear, no recent droppings, no warm breath in the darkness. Whatever claimed this cave before you is long gone. Now it's yours. At least for tonight. The elder woman moves past you, somehow seeing in the darkness better than anyone else. She's been to this cave before, maybe many times. She knows where to go, where the floor is flattest, where the ceiling is high enough to let smoke escape, where the sleeping spots are, and most importantly, she knows where to build the fire, because without fire, this cave is just a cold hole in the ground. With fire, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a portal to another world, a world where humans can dream, where they can tell stories, where they can become more than just animals trying to survive. It becomes a place where they can truly sleep. You're about to witness something that happened every single night for thousands of years. Something so important that without it, you wouldn't exist today. Your ancestors would have died in the cold, and humanity would have ended before it really began. You're about to witness the birth of the first bedroom, and trust me, If you think you know how to sleep, you haven't seen anything yet, because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about rest. Chapter 3: Fire, Humanity's First Guardian. The elder woman kneels in the center of the cave, her hands moving with practiced precision. She's done this 10,000 times before, maybe more. She could do it blind, and in fact, she practically is. She arranges small twigs in a careful structure, dried grass, strips of bark from birch trees which burn even when wet, then larger sticks, and finally, chunks of resinous pine wood that will burn hot and long through the night. You crouch beside her and pull out your most valuable possessions, a fist-sized piece of flint, a chunk of iron pyrite. You strike them together, angling the sparks toward the tinder. Once, nothing. Twice, a tiny glow that fades. 3 times, the spark catches. A wisp of smoke curls upward. The elder woman leans down and breathes on it gently, coaxing the ember into flame. And just like that, everything changes. The first tiny flame leaps up, bright and hungry. It catches the grass, then the bark, then the twigs. Within seconds, there's real fire. Within a minute, the cave is transformed. Shadows dance on the walls. Orange light pushes back the darkness. And warmth. Blessed, beautiful warmth begins to radiate outward. The children rush forward, holding out their hands, but the mother pulls them back. Fire is a friend, yes, but it's also dangerous, especially in a space this enclosed. Here's something that will blow your mind. Archaeologists have found evidence that early humans might have understood fire safety better than many people do today. At excavation sites across Europe, they've discovered carefully constructed fire rings, stones arranged in circles to contain the flames, ash pits dug deliberately to prevent fire from spreading, even evidence of what might be primitive chimneys, gaps in rock formations that were deliberately chosen or modified to let smoke escape. These weren't primitive people making random fires, these were engineers, architects of survival, but fire brought problems too, big ones, and this is where things get controversial. You see, when archaeologists study ancient cave sites, they find something disturbing. The bones of people who lived in caves show high rates of respiratory illness, thickened bone formations in the nasal passages, evidence of chronic bronchitis, even possible traces of tuberculosis. The culprit? Smoke. Lots and lots of smoke. Some scientists argue that living in smoke-filled caves might have actually shortened human lifespans, that the very thing that kept people warm was also slowly killing them. But other researchers disagree. They point out that without fire, humans wouldn't have survived at all. Yes, smoke caused problems. But freezing to death causes bigger problems. You can't cough if you're dead. It's a brutal calculation, but your ancestors made it every single night, and clearly, they chose correctly, because you're here. The fire grows stronger, and you start to feel it in your bones. That deep, penetrating warmth that only fire can provide. It's not like central heating. It's uneven. Your face gets hot while your back stays cold. Your shins warm up while your shoulders shiver. So you do what humans have done since the beginning. You rotate. Like a rotisserie chicken, you slowly turn, letting the heat reach every part of your body. And here's where something magical happens. Something that scientists are only now beginning to understand. Staring at fire changes your brain. Modern research has shown that looking at flames actually lowers your heart rate, reduces blood pressure, triggers the release of chemicals associated with relaxation and meditation. The flickering pattern of fire at around 10 Hz matches the alpha wave frequency of a relaxed but awake brain. Your ancestors didn't know the science, but they knew the feeling. Fire didn't just warm the body, it calmed the mind. It prepared you for sleep in a way that nothing else could. The shadows on the cave walls begin to dance. The children watch them mesmerized. A flicker becomes a running horse. A dark spot becomes a sleeping bear. The cave walls come alive with movement, and imagination fills in the rest. This is the world's first television, the first cinema, the first art gallery. All powered by fire and shadow and the human need to find meaning in patterns. But fire provides something else too, something even more important than warmth or light or entertainment. Fire provides a barrier, an invisible wall that predators cannot cross. Outside, in the darkness beyond the cave mouth, wolves are circling. You can't see them, but you know they're there. You can feel it. That ancient instinct that kept your ancestors alive through 1,000,000 years of being prey. But the wolves won't enter. They'll pace, they'll sniff, they'll test the boundary, but they won't cross the line of firelight. Because fire is the one thing that separates humans from every other animal on Earth. It's the weapon that can't be clawed or bitten, the defense that never sleeps, the guardian that stands watch while you rest. And with that guardian in place, you can finally do something that no other animal can do quite like humans do. You can surrender, you can close your eyes, you can trust the darkness, you can sleep. If you're feeling that warmth right now, that sense of safety, hit that subscribe button, because we're going deeper into the heart of how your ancestors truly rested, and I promise you, it's going to surprise you. Chapter 4. The Secret Architecture of Ancient Sleep. Now comes the part that most people get wrong about ancient life. They imagine cavemen sleeping on bare rock, shivering, miserable, barely surviving. That's not what happened, not even close. Your family spreads across the cave floor with practiced efficiency. The elder woman directs everyone to specific spots, not random locations. Carefully chosen places based on years of experience. The mother and baby go near the fire but not too close. They need constant warmth, but the infant's delicate skin can't handle direct heat. The children cluster together in a pile, sharing body warmth. And you? You take the position nearest the cave entrance, not because it's the best spot, because it's the most dangerous one. If anything comes through that opening tonight, you'll face it first. But before anyone can lie down, there's work to do. Important work. The elder woman pulls a bundle from her pack. Dried grass, moss, pine needles, and then, from a carefully protected inner pouch, something precious, heather. Dried heather flowers that she collected last summer and saved for exactly this moment. She spreads them across the chosen sleeping area in a thick mat. The children help, layering the materials like they're building something, which in fact they are. They're building the world's first mattress. Here's something incredible that archaeologists discovered at a site called Border Cave in South Africa. They found sleeping mats that were 77,000 years old, not just scraps. Complete, deliberately constructed beds made of sedges and grasses. And here's the amazing part. They were embedded with insect-repellent plants. Your ancestors weren't just piling up random vegetation. They were choosing specific plants, testing them, learning which ones kept bugs away, which ones stayed soft through the night, which ones retained warmth. They were scientists conducting experiments, passing down knowledge through generations. Over the grass mat go animal hides, reindeer fur, thick and warm, bear pelts, heavy and insulating, smaller furs from foxes and rabbits, layered to fill gaps. Each hide is precious. Each one represents a successful hunt, a life taken, a life given. The children curl into the bedding, and you hear them sigh with relief. After hours of walking through snow, after the burning cold and the screaming wind, this feels like luxury. The grass springs slightly under their weight. The furs trap their body heat. Within minutes they're warm. Within 10 minutes they're asleep. But you're not done yet, because there's one more element to ancient sleep architecture, one more trick that made the difference between comfortable rest and restless misery: ash. The elder woman takes a handful of fine ash from the edge of the fire and sprinkles it over the bedding. You do the same. It seems strange. Why cover your bed with what's essentially dirt? But ancient people knew something. Ash is a powerful desiccant. It absorbs moisture from the air and from the bedding. It keeps things dry, and dry means warm. But ash does something else too. Something that modern science has only recently confirmed. It kills parasites, lice, fleas, mites, the tiny creatures that made ancient life miserable. A thin layer of ash creates an environment where these bugs can't survive. Your ancestors were using chemical warfare, and they didn't even know it. Now the sleeping area is ready, 20 feet from the fire, close enough for warmth, far enough that sparks won't catch the bedding, positioned so that smoke rises away, not directly overhead. This isn't luck, this is engineering. But here's where a big controversy comes in, one that archaeologists still argue about in heated debates. Did ancient people sleep alone or together? Some scientists point to evidence of individual sleeping spaces at certain sites, small depressions in cave floors that seem sized for one person. They argue that even in prehistory humans valued privacy, personal space. But other researchers say that's wishful thinking. They point to the cramped quarters, the need for shared warmth, the evidence of group sleeping mats that show dozens of body impressions overlapping. Their conclusion? Ancient people slept in piles, like puppies, all tangled together, no privacy, no personal space, just a big, warm, breathing mass of humanity. And honestly, that second view is probably right, because here's what happens next. Everyone gathers on the sleeping mat, not next to each other. On top of each other, the children in the middle, the adults around the edges, the elder woman curled protectively around the youngest child, the mother spooning the baby against her chest, and you, lying at the edge, feeling the warmth of at least 3 other people pressed against your back. At first, it's uncomfortable. An elbow digs into your ribs, someone's knee pushes against your leg, breathing that isn't yours tickles your neck, but then something shifts. Your body heat mingles with theirs, the temperature rises, the furs trap it all, creating a microclimate underneath. Within minutes it's actually warm under there, not cold with spots of heat, actually, truly warm, and your breathing synchronizes. Without meaning to, you start inhaling and exhaling at the same rhythm as the people around you. Your heartbeat slows to match theirs. Your brainwaves begin to align. Scientists call this synchronization, and it's not just poetic, it's measurable, real. When humans sleep close together, their bodies literally communicate. Heart rates align, breathing patterns match. Even dreams may overlap in ways we don't fully understand. Your ancestors didn't know the science, but they felt it. They knew that sleeping together didn't just keep them warm, it kept them connected, bonded, part of something larger than themselves. And in that connection, in that pile of furs and flesh and synchronized breath, they found something that we've almost lost in our modern world of separate bedrooms and privacy. They found true rest, deep, complete, surrendering rest. The fire crackles, the children snore softly, and you feel yourself beginning to drift. But wait, before you slip away completely, I want to tell you about something that happened in these caves, something that still gives archaeologists nightmares, because not everything that wanted to sleep in caves was human, and not everything was friendly. Chapter 5. When predators ruled the night. You're hovering in that strange space between wake and sleep. Your body is warm, the breathing around you is steady, the fire glows orange-red behind your closed eyelids, and then you hear it, a sound from outside the cave, faint but unmistakable, a growl. Your eyes snap open, your body tenses, but you don't move, don't make a sound, because sudden movement attracts attention, and right now, you really don't want attention. The growl comes again, closer this time, followed by a snuffling sound. Something large is testing the air near the cave entrance. The elder woman is awake too. You can tell by the change in her breathing. The children, thank the gods, sleep on. But every adult in the cave is now fully alert, hands moving slowly, carefully, toward weapons, fingers curling around stone blades and wooden spears. Here's something most people don't understand about prehistory. We think of ancient humans as the hunters, the predators, the dominant species. That's not how it was, not at first. For millions of years, humans weren't at the top of the food chain. We were in the middle, and that meant we were prey. Cave bears, massive animals that could weigh 1,500 pounds, with claws like knives and jaws powerful enough to crack bone. Cave lions, larger than modern lions. Pack hunters that could coordinate attacks with terrifying intelligence. Cave hyenas, not the scavenging cowards of modern Africa, but apex predators that hunted in groups and had jaws strong enough to crush skulls. And wolves, always wolves, smart, patient, willing to wait hours for a moment of weakness. These animals didn't just live near humans, they lived in the same caves, used the same shelters, competed for the same space, and sometimes they won. At a site called Dragon's Cave in Germany, archaeologists found something shocking. Human bones and bear bones mixed together. Not from different time periods, from the same event. They found evidence of a massacre, a family of humans cornered by a group of bears. The bones tell the story, teeth marks, impact fractures, signs of desperate fighting. No one survived. But here's what's even more disturbing. The human bones show signs of being deliberately arranged after death, stacked, organized. Some researchers believe this might be evidence of a burial ritual performed by other humans who found the bodies later. But a small, controversial group of scientists suggests something else. What if the bears did it? What if they were displaying their territory, sending a message to other humans? This cave is ours. It sounds crazy. Bears don't do that. They're animals, not strategic thinkers. Except, maybe they were, at least a little bit. Because here's another discovery that keeps archaeologists up at night. At multiple cave sites across Europe, they've found bear skulls arranged in patterns, lined up along walls, stacked in niches, positioned near cave entrances. For decades, scientists assumed humans did this, some kind of ritual or trophy display. But the problem is, some of these arrangements date to before humans lived in those caves, or they're in chambers so deep and difficult to access that humans probably never went there. So who arranged the skulls, and why? We don't know, and that's terrifying. The growl outside grows louder, closer, and now you see it. A shadow moving past the cave entrance, huge, shaggy, definitely a bear. Your hand tightens around your spear. The elder woman slowly stands, moving between the children and the entrance. Every adult is positioned now, forming a living barrier around the youngest members of the family. This is the moment. This is when the fire either saves you or fails you. The bear's head appears in the entrance. Massive. Larger than you remembered from the last time you saw one. Its eyes catch the firelight and glow orange gold. It sniffs, loudly, analysing every scent in the cave, and then it does something unexpected. It sits down, just sits there, at the entrance, blocking half the opening but not entering, like it's thinking, calculating, making a decision. For 5 full minutes nobody breathes. The bear watches the fire crackles, the humans wait, and then, slowly, the bear stands, turns, and walks away. The sound of its footsteps fades into the night. Gone. You exhale. Every adult in the cave exhales. The tension breaks like a released bowstring. Why did the bear leave? Was it the fire? The smell of humans? The fact that you were awake and ready to fight? We don't know. Ancient humans didn't know either. All they knew was that sometimes the predators left, and sometimes they didn't. But here's the really interesting part. Here's where the controversy gets deep. Some archaeologists believe that humans and cave bears eventually reached a kind of understanding, that they learned to share caves peacefully, taking turns, humans in winter, bears in summer, a peace treaty written in instinct and survival. Other scientists say that's ridiculous, that attributing that kind of intelligence to bears is anthropomorphizing, that any peaceful coexistence was accidental, not intentional. But then there's a third group, a small but growing number of researchers who point to evidence that's hard to explain. Cave paintings of bears, but not hunting scenes. Bears painted with apparent respect, even reverence. Bear skulls arranged in what look like shrine-like structures, human burial sites where bear teeth and claws are included as precious grave goods. What if ancient humans didn't see bears as just enemies or food? What if they saw them as neighbours, competitors, yes, but also fellow survivors in a harsh world, creatures worthy of respect? What if the relationship between humans and bears was more complex than we ever imagined? You lie back down, heart still racing. The elder woman returns to her spot. Gradually breathing slows, muscles unclench, the fire keeps burning, the guardian that never sleeps, and you drift away again, knowing that tonight at least the cave is yours, the treaty holds, the predators have withdrawn, but they'll be back. They always come back, and tomorrow night, the negotiation begins again. If this story's keeping you awake when you should be sleeping, don't worry, that's normal. The exciting parts are important too. But we're going somewhere calmer now, somewhere deeper, where the real magic of ancient sleep happens. We're going into dreams. Chapter 6. The Mystery of Cave Dreams. You're asleep now, truly, deeply asleep. Your body has finally surrendered to the warmth, the darkness, the breathing rhythm of the family around you. Your muscles have gone slack, your heart has slowed to its resting pace, and your mind is about to go somewhere strange. The fire's shadow puppets dance on the cave walls, even behind your closed eyelids. The painted animals that decorate this cave, bison, horses, deer, seem to move in the flickering light. And as you slip deeper into sleep, something shifts. The bison on the wall begins to breathe. You can see its chest rising and falling. You can hear the heavy exhale of a massive animal, and then, impossibly, it steps down from the wall. Hooves touching stone, muscles rippling under painted fur. It turns to look at you. Its eyes are deep and knowing, and then it speaks, not in words, in feelings. in understanding that flows directly into your mind without language. It tells you where to hunt tomorrow, shows you a valley 3 days' walk from here, promises that if you go there, you'll find a herd, and then it steps back onto the wall, becomes paint again, becomes still. You're dreaming. Of course you're dreaming. But here's the question that archaeologists and anthropologists have been arguing about for decades. What if ancient humans didn't see dreams the way we do? What if they believed dreams were real? Modern Western culture treats dreams as random brain activity, neurons firing, memories being organized, sometimes meaningful, usually not. But ancient people, and many indigenous cultures still today, saw dreams differently. Dreams weren't fantasies. They were visions, messages from another world, instructions from spirits, ancestors, or the animals themselves. When an ancient hunter dreamed of a bison showing them where to find food, they didn't wake up and think, that was just my imagination. They woke up and thought, the bison spoke to me, I must listen. And here's the absolutely wild part. Sometimes it worked. Anthropologists who've studied modern hunter-gatherer groups report the same pattern over and over. Hunters dream about animal locations. They follow the dreams. And they actually find the animals more often than random chance would predict. How? Why? Some scientists say it's coincidence, confirmation bias. People remember the times the dreams were right and forget the times they were wrong. But other researchers suggest something more interesting. They propose that the human brain, even in sleep, continues processing information gathered during the day, tracks patterns, analyzes animal behavior, predicts likely locations, and then it presents that analysis as a dream, a story, because the human brain loves stories. So when you dream of a bison telling you where to hunt, you're not hearing an actual spirit animal. You're hearing your own subconscious mind presenting its calculations in a form you can understand and remember, which means the dreams were useful, genuinely useful. A survival tool encoded in storytelling. But there's another theory too, one that's more controversial, more strange. What if sleeping together, all piled up in that heap of furs and bodies, created shared dreams? Some researchers studying groups sleeping in traditional cultures have reported an unusual phenomenon. People sleeping in close physical contact sometimes report overlapping dream content, similar images, similar narratives. They'll wake up and discover that multiple people dreamed about the same animals or the same landscape or the same events. Skeptics say this is just people talking after waking up and unconsciously aligning their memories. The dreams weren't really shared. People just convinced themselves they were. But believers point out that you can measure this. Hook people up to brain scanners while they sleep. The results? When people sleep in close contact, their REM cycles, the stage where dreaming occurs, often synchronize. Their brains literally enter the dream state at the same time. Does that mean they dream the same things? We don't know. Modern ethics won't let researchers do the kinds of experiments that would prove it. But imagine you're in that pile of sleeping bodies, your brains synchronized with the brains around you, all of you entering REM sleep together, all of you experiencing that strange, flowing, symbolic state where images and meanings merge. Could your dreams influence each other? Could one person's dream of a bison bleed into another person's consciousness? Ancient people believed it did. They spoke of shared dreams as casually as we speak of shared meals. Dream content was discussed every morning, analysed, interpreted, used to make decisions about the day ahead, and maybe, just maybe, they were onto something we've lost. Your dream shifts. The bison fades. Now you're running through a snowy forest. But you're not human anymore. You're a wolf. You feel the power in your legs, the sharpness of your senses, the clarity of purpose. You're hunting, tracking, following a scent that pulls you forward like a rope. And then you wake up, just for a moment. A micro-awakening that you won't remember. You shift position, adjust the furs, feel the warmth of the child sleeping against your back, and you slip down again, into another dream. This time you're standing in a cave. But it's not this cave, it's deeper, darker. The walls are covered in paintings you've never seen before. Handprints, red and black, dozens of them, hundreds. And as you watch, more hands appear, pressing against the wall, leaving their marks, hands from people who aren't there, who maybe never were there, or maybe they were. Maybe these are the hands of everyone who ever slept in caves like this, everyone who survived winters like this, everyone who dreamed like this. Maybe this dream is showing you that you're not alone, that you're part of a chain, a continuity that stretches back through time further than you can imagine. The elder woman beside you stirs. She's dreaming too, and in her dream she's a child again, playing near a summer stream. Her mother is there, still alive, still young, braiding her hair. The baby dreams of warmth, of milk, of the heartbeat that has been its constant companion since before birth. The children dream of games, of running, of laughter that doesn't hurt from cold, and the cave cradles all of you, holds all these dreams, becomes a vessel for visions that might be random, or might be messages, or might be something in between that we don't have words for yet. Outside, snow continues to fall. The wolves have moved on. The bear is somewhere else now, and the night stretches on, deep and dark and endless. But in the cave, in the warmth, in the pile of breathing bodies and synchronized brainwaves and dancing firelight, something magical is happening. Humanity is becoming more than just animals trying to survive. Humanity is dreaming itself into existence. And tomorrow, when you wake up, those dreams might save your life, or they might just fade away like snow in sunlight. Either way, for now, you rest. You dream. You float in that strange space between consciousness and oblivion, and the cave keeps you safe. If you're dreaming along with me, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs better sleep, and let's continue our journey. Because we haven't talked about the most important people in the cave yet, the children. Chapter 7. Children of the Stone Age. In the pile of sleeping bodies, the smallest ones breathe the fastest. 3 children, ranging from maybe 4 years old to 10. They're curled together like a litter of puppies, creating their own microclimate of warmth in the center of the group. The youngest is tucked directly against the elder woman's chest. The middle child sprawls across 2 adults, limbs everywhere. And the oldest, the 10-year-old, has positioned herself at the edge of the children's cluster, one hand stretched out protectively over the younger ones even in sleep. Already, at 10 years old, she's learning to be a guardian. Here's something that will break your heart and fill it at the same time. Archaeologists have found children's footprints in ancient caves, tiny prints preserved in clay, and they tell an incredible story. The children weren't just passengers in cave life. They were explorers, adventurers, little scientists discovering their world. At a cave site in France, researchers found small footprints leading deep into unexplored chambers. The children had ventured into areas where even adults rarely went. Why? Probably the same reason kids do anything: curiosity, adventure. The simple joy of seeing what's around the next corner. But they found something else in those deep chambers, something that changed how we understand childhood in prehistory. Finger paintings, child-sized handprints, and drawings that show the unmistakable style of young artists. Wobbly lines, simple shapes, the kind of art that says, a kid made this in any era. Ancient children drew on cave walls, they played, they created, they expressed themselves. They were exactly like children today. But here's where it gets complicated. Because childhood in the Ice Age wasn't like childhood now. The 10-year-old girl sleeping at the edge of the children's pile? She's already considered almost an adult. In a year or two, she'll be expected to contribute fully to the group's survival, to help with hunts, to bear children of her own. The middle child, maybe 6 or 7, already learning to make tools, to track animals, to identify which plants are safe to eat, and the youngest, the 4-year-old? That child has already survived something that 50% of Ice Age children didn't. They survived past age 5. Infant mortality in prehistoric times was brutal. Some estimates suggest that half of all children died before reaching their 5th birthday. Disease, accidents, cold, hunger, predators. The children sleeping in this cave tonight are survivors, winners of a lottery they didn't even know they were entered in, and their parents know it. The mother wrapped around the baby isn't just seeking warmth. She's guarding a precious, fragile miracle. Every breath that baby takes is a victory. Some archaeologists argue that this high mortality rate made ancient parents more emotionally distant, that they couldn't afford to become too attached to children who might die. But other researchers look at the evidence and see something completely different. They see parents who buried children with precious grave goods, who placed children in the center of family burial sites, who painted images on cave walls that might represent children lost too soon. They see parents who loved desperately, fiercely, who knew that every day with their children was borrowed time. The controversy runs deep. How did ancient people view childhood? Were children seen as small adults, expected to contribute immediately? Or were they recognized as a distinct stage of life that deserved protection and nurturing? The answer is probably both. Depending on the child, depending on the circumstances, depending on what survival demanded that day. The 10-year-old girl stirs in her sleep. Her hand twitches, fingers closing around an imaginary spear. She's dreaming of hunting, of proving herself, of becoming someone the group depends on. But she's also still a child, still small, still vulnerable. And here's something beautiful that archaeologists discovered. At several cave sites they found what appear to be toys, carved animals, shaped stones that could be dolls, whistles made from bone. Someone made these, took time away from survival tasks to create objects whose only purpose was to bring joy to a child. That's not the behavior of people who saw children as disposable. That's the behavior of people who loved their kids. The middle child mumbles something in sleep, a word that might be mama in whatever language they speak. The mother's arm tightens around them reflexively, even though she's deeply asleep herself. And here's another discovery that changes how we understand ancient families. Chemical analysis of ancient bones can reveal diet, what people ate, what nutrients they received. And in Ice Age sites, researchers found something surprising. Children's bones often show signs of better nutrition than adults' bones. The children were getting more protein, more fat, more of the good stuff. The adults were giving the children the best food, even when there wasn't enough to go around, even when it meant the adults themselves went hungry. That's not survival of the fittest, that's something else. That's love. But let's not romanticize too much. Because childhood in the Ice Age also involved things no modern parent would tolerate. Children went on hunts, dangerous hunts. We know because we've found children's bones at mammoth kill sites, small humans participating in bringing down animals that could crush them with one step. Children were exposed to extreme cold, to long journeys, to witnessing violence and death. A 4-year-old Ice Age child had probably seen more predator attacks and successful hunts than most modern adults will see in a lifetime of nature documentaries. They grew up hard, fast, or they didn't grow up at all. The youngest child, the 4-year-old, shifts in sleep and unconsciously seeks the elder woman's heartbeat, finds it, settles against it. And here's something to think about. That elder woman might be the child's grandmother, or great-grandmother, or great-great-grandmother. See, here's a controversy that anthropologists love to fight about, the grandmother hypothesis. Some researchers notice something interesting. Humans are one of the few species where females live long past their reproductive years. Most animals die shortly after they can no longer have offspring, but human women can live decades after menopause. Why? What's the evolutionary advantage? The grandmother hypothesis says, grandmothers help raise children, they gather food, they teach skills, they provide childcare while younger adults hunt. They're so valuable to the group's survival that evolution favoured longer female lifespans. Critics say this is oversimplified, that plenty of other factors explain human longevity, that focusing on grandmothers ignores the roles of older men. But look at this cave. Look at the elder woman with 3 children clustered around her, the young mother able to rest because the grandmother is there, the children learning from someone with decades of accumulated knowledge. Maybe the hypothesis is right. Maybe grandmothers literally created humanity as we know it. The fire burns lower, the children sleep on, and outside the night continues its slow march toward dawn. These children will wake up tomorrow. They'll play. They'll learn. They'll do what children have always done. They'll be the future, whether they know it or not. And maybe, just maybe, one of them will grow up to tell stories, to paint on walls, to remember this night and preserve it somehow. So that 30,000 years later, we can look at their handprints on ancient stone and recognize them as children, as explorers, as humans, just like us. Sleep tight, little ones. Tomorrow comes soon, but for now, rest, dream. Be safe in the warmth of your family, because that's what childhood should be, regardless of the era. Chapter 8. The Painted Spirits Above. As you drift in and out of sleep, your eyes flutter open occasionally, and each time you see them, the animals on the cave walls, painted in red ochre and black charcoal, magnificent bison with curved horns, wild horses mid-gallop, deer with antlers that branch like winter trees. In the flickering firelight they almost seem to move. The shadows animate them. A horse's leg appears to kick. A bison's head seems to lower. For a moment it's impossible to tell what's paint and what's alive. This is where the story gets mystical, where science and spirituality blur into something we still don't fully understand. Cave paintings. They're found all over the world, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, in Australia. Wherever humans lived in caves, they painted, for tens of thousands of years. But here's the question that keeps archaeologists up at night. Why? Some researchers say it was purely practical. Hunting magic. Paint the animal, successfully hunt the animal. Simple cause and effect to a mind that didn't understand coincidence. Others argue it was spiritual, that caves were sacred spaces, that the act of painting was a ritual connecting humans to the spirit world. And a third group says it was art. pure expression. Humans creating beauty because creating beauty is what humans do. The controversial truth? It was probably all three, and more. Because here's something strange. The best cave paintings, the most detailed, the most skilled, the most breathtaking, are almost never found in living areas. They're deep, really deep, in chambers that require crawling through narrow passages, climbing down dangerous drops, navigating total darkness for hundreds of feet. Why paint where no one will see it? Some researchers believe this is evidence that the paintings were sacred, that they were meant to be hidden, that accessing them required dangerous initiation rituals. But here's an alternative theory that's gaining support. What if the paintings were never meant to be viewed in normal light? Modern experiments have shown something fascinating. When you bring a torch or lamp into painted cave chambers, the light moves, flickers, and the paintings seem to come alive. But that's not all. Many painted chambers have unusual acoustics. Sounds echo strangely. Voices reverberate. Hand claps produce unexpected patterns of sound. And here's the really weird part. The most acoustically resonant chambers are almost always the most heavily painted. What if ancient humans discovered that certain locations in caves had special sound properties? And what if they believed those sounds were the voices of spirits? What if the paintings weren't meant to be seen? What if they were meant to be heard? Imagine this. A group of people crawls deep into the cave. They bring lamps made of animal fat burning in shells. The light flickers. They begin to chant, to sing, to drum. And the cave responds, amplifies, transforms their sounds into something otherworldly. In that altered state, exhausted from the crawl, oxygen deprived in the deep chambers, overwhelmed by the acoustic effects, they paint. Not as artists, as shamans, as people communicating with something beyond themselves. The animals on the walls aren't pictures, they're portals. Now, mainstream archaeology is skeptical of this theory. They point out that there's no direct evidence for ritual use, that assuming spiritual motivation is projecting modern ideas onto ancient people. But anthropologists who study traditional cultures counter. Every single culture that still paints sacred images describes them as spiritually significant. Why assume ancient humans were different? The controversy rages on, and probably will forever. Because we can't ask the artists what they meant, but you, lying here in the living area of the cave, with the more casually painted animals above you, these are different. These paintings are simpler, less refined, and they're exactly where the smoke has blackened the ceiling. These aren't the masterpieces in the deep chambers. These are the everyday animals, the hunting guides, the bedtime stories. Maybe the elder woman painted these. Years ago, when she was younger, she would have mixed the ochre with animal fat, used her fingers, sticks, chewed twigs as brushes, stood on piled stones to reach the ceiling, and she painted what mattered. Bison, because bison meant food for the winter. Horses, because horses were fast and needed different hunting strategies. Deer, because deer were everywhere and feeding the children. But here's something heartbreaking and beautiful. Among the large animal paintings there are also handprints. Adult hands outlined in red ochre, and small hands, children's hands, tiny palms pressed against the stone and outlined in pigment, some as small as a toddler's hand. What does that mean? Were children included in the painting rituals? Were parents memorializing their children on the cave walls? Or were the children just being kids, seeing adults paint and wanting to join in? The answer is, we don't know. And that uncertainty makes it more powerful, not less. Because each of those small handprints represents a child, a real child who lived and breathed and played, who felt the cold stone against their palm, who maybe laughed when they saw their handprint appear, a child who might have died young, or might have grown up to be an elder themselves, to paint their own children's hands on a different cave wall. Those hands are time machines, more powerful than any artifact, because hands are universal. Your hand pressed against that wall today would look essentially the same, 30,000 years, and human hands haven't changed. The youngest child in the sleeping pile stirs, eyes flutter open for just a moment, and in that moment, in the firelight, the child sees the paintings above, sees the bison, the horses, the deer, and the small handprint, the one that's exactly the size of their own hand. The child lifts one arm, reaches up toward the painting, fingers stretching toward the ancient handprint, and for just a second, past and present touch, across thousands of years, child to child, then the arm drops, the eyes close, sleep reclaims them. But somewhere in their dreams, that connection remains. That understanding that they're not alone, that others came before, that others will come after. That's what the paintings really mean. That's their true purpose. They say, we were here, we survived, we felt what you feel, we feared what you fear, we dreamed what you dream. You're not the first, and you will not be the last, and in a world where every day might be your last day, where winter kills without mercy, where predators wait in the dark. That message isn't trivial, it's everything. The fire burns lower, the paintings fade back into shadow, but they remain, patient, eternal, waiting for the next person to lie here, to look up, to see, and to understand. If you're still with me, if this journey is touching you, please hit that subscribe button, because we're in the deep part of the night now, the strangest part. Where ancient sleep gets really interesting, we're approaching midnight, and that's when everything changes. Chapter 9. The Night Between Two Sleeps. Something shifts in the cave. It's subtle. You're not sure what woke you, but you're awake, definitely awake. The fire's burned down to coals, just a red glow. The cave is darker than before, colder, but not dangerously so. You lie still for a moment, assessing. Is something wrong? Is there danger? No, everything is fine. The children sleep on. The elder woman breathes steadily. No sounds from outside except the whisper of falling snow. So why are you awake? Welcome to one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern sleep research. Something that might completely change how you think about insomnia. In the 1990s, a historian named Roger E. Kirch was studying pre-industrial sleep patterns. He was reading old diaries, letters, legal documents, and he kept finding references to something strange. People talked about first sleep and second sleep, not metaphorically, literally. They went to bed soon after dark, slept for 3 or 4 hours, then woke up, stayed awake for an hour or two, then went back to sleep until dawn. And they talked about this like it was completely normal. Not insomnia, not a problem, just how sleep works. E. Kirch found hundreds of references across multiple centuries, in multiple countries, all describing the same pattern. He called it segmented sleep, and he proposed something radical. What if this is how humans naturally sleep? What if sleeping through the night in one continuous block is actually the weird, modern, artificial pattern? Other scientists were skeptical, so they did experiments. They took volunteers and put them in environments without artificial light, just natural darkness from sunset to sunrise. And after a few weeks, almost everyone developed the same pattern. They slept in 2 segments, with a wakeful period in the middle. Their bodies, freed from electric lights and alarm clocks, found a rhythm that felt natural, ancient, right. And here's the controversial part, that wakeful period in the middle of the night. People reported that it felt different from regular waking, more peaceful, more reflective, a liminal state between sleep and wake, where thinking felt clearer somehow. Some described it as the most spiritually meaningful part of their day, or rather, their night. So you're awake now, in the middle of the night. In a dark cave with your family sleeping around you. This isn't insomnia, this is biology. You sit up slightly, careful not to disturb the children. The elder woman's eyes open. She's awake too. She smiles faintly. No words, just recognition. She's been here before, many, many times. In the red glow of the coals you can just barely see. The cave walls, the sleeping bodies, the outline of the entrance where snow glows faintly in moonlight that you can't quite see. What did ancient people do during this wakeful period? Historians found references to all sorts of activities. People prayed, meditated, had sex, talked quietly with their partners, checked on children, tended fires, and they thought deeply about problems they were facing, about decisions that needed to be made. Many historical references suggest that this middle-of-the-night thinking was considered especially wise, that solutions came more easily in this state. Was that just superstition, or was something real happening? Modern neuroscience suggests it might be real. During the first sleep cycle, the brain processes emotions, consolidates memories, does maintenance work. When you wake after first sleep, you're in a unique brain state, calm, rested enough to think clearly, but still close enough to the dream state to access creative, non-linear thinking. It's a state that's very hard to achieve during regular waking hours, so maybe ancient people weren't superstitious. Maybe they knew something, and maybe we've lost it. The elder woman shifts slightly, adds a piece of wood to the coals, coaxes them back into small flames. Just enough to push back the darkness a little more. She gestures to you. Come, sit. You carefully extract yourself from the sleeping pile. The children don't wake. The mother adjusts automatically, filling the warm space you left behind. You sit beside the elder woman near the fire. She hands you something, a piece of dried meat saved from dinner. You chew it slowly, not really hungry, but accepting the ritual of sharing. She points up at the paintings, traces their outline with one gnarled finger, and then she speaks, quietly, so quietly you can barely hear. She tells you a story about her grandmother who slept in this same cave, who saw the same animals, who taught her which paintings brought luck. It's not a long story, maybe 2 minutes, but in this quiet, wakeful, liminal time, it feels profound, like receiving a transmission from the deep past. And here's something interesting. Many cultures that still practice segmented sleep use this middle period for exactly this: storytelling, teaching, passing down knowledge in the quiet hours when the world seems to hold its breath. Maybe this is when human culture really happened, not during the busy day, not in the full light, but here, in the darkness, in the wakeful space between sleeps. The fire crackles softly, the story ends. The elder woman smiles again, pats your hand, then lies back down. You sit for a few more minutes, thinking, feeling, existing in this strange, peaceful state. And then, gradually you feel it. The pull of sleep returning, your eyelids growing heavy, your thoughts becoming less linear, more dreamy. Second sleep is calling. You lie back down. Find your spot in the warm pile. The children unconsciously make room. Someone's hand falls on your shoulder. Someone's breath tickles your neck, and you sink down again into a different kind of sleep, deeper, dreamless, the kind of sleep that will carry you to morning. This is how your ancestors slept, not fighting the wakeful period, not calling it insomnia, not worrying about it, just accepting it, using it, letting the night have its rhythm, and then letting sleep return when it was ready. Outside, the moon crosses the sky, the snow continues to fall, and the cave holds all of you in its ancient stone embrace, safe, warm, connected, sleeping the way humans have slept for millennia, until the morning comes. Chapter 10: The Morning That Never Came. You're drifting again, somewhere between dreams and waking. Second sleep is different from first sleep, quieter, still, like floating in warm water. The dreams that come now are gentler, less dramatic. You see snow falling, trees bending under weight, the slow, patient movements of winter, and then light, faint at first, then growing, the grey-white glow of dawn beginning to filter through the cave entrance. Your eyes flutter open. For real this time, final waking. The first thing you notice is sound, stirring, movement. The children are awake, not playing yet but shifting, stretching, making the small sounds that children make when they're coming out of sleep. The mother sits up, the baby still nestled against her. The elder woman is already moving, checking the fire, assessing the state of the cave with practiced efficiency. Another day. You survived another night. That thought is profound in ways modern people don't fully appreciate. You literally bet your life that the cave would protect you, that the fire would last, that no predators would breach the barrier, and you won that bet. Again. But here's where I need to tell you something. Something that changes the whole story. Something that archaeologists wish they didn't know. Many ancient humans didn't survive the winter. The caves that researchers excavate, they find bodies. Families that went to sleep and never woke up. Sometimes from carbon monoxide poisoning when fires burned without adequate ventilation. Sometimes from hypothermia when fires went out and no one could restart them. Sometimes from disease that spread through the close quarters. The evidence shows that winter in caves was always a gamble, a calculated risk. Better than being outside, but not safe, never truly safe. At one excavation site in Russia, archaeologists found a family of 7, huddled together in a sleeping arrangement exactly like the one I've been describing. They went to sleep one night in winter. None of them woke up. The cave had filled with carbon monoxide from the fire. Slow, invisible, painless. They simply drifted away. And here's the haunting part. They were found still holding each other, still in that protective formation, still trying to keep the children warm. Even in death they were together. This is the reality that your ancestors faced. Every night was a choice. Freeze outside or risk the dangers inside, and they chose inside over and over because it gave them the best chance. Most of the time they were right. They woke up. They survived. They lived to see another day, but not always, and they knew it. That's what makes their courage even more incredible. They knew the risks. They'd found the bodies of people who took the same gamble and lost, and they made the choice anyway. To trust the cave, to trust the fire, to close their eyes and surrender to sleep. Because what else could they do? You stand up now, stretch, feel your joints crack. Your back aches from the hard ground, but you're alive, you're warm enough, you're here. The elder woman smiles at you, proud. She's seen so many mornings, so many winters. She's a walking miracle of survival. How old is she? 40? 50? In modern terms, that's young. But in the Ice Age, she's ancient, a keeper of knowledge, a treasure beyond measure. The children tumble out of the bedding, already bouncing with energy that seems impossible after such a night. But that's children. That's hope. That's the future refusing to be contained. Someone starts to clear the snow from the entrance, slowly, carefully. As the barrier comes down, light floods in. Real light, painful after so many hours of darkness, and cold. Immediate sharp cold that makes everyone gasp, but also beauty. The world outside is transformed, covered in fresh snow, clean, bright, almost blinding. The storm has passed, the sun is rising, the world is renewed. This is what you survived for, this moment, this light, this new day. The family gathers near the entrance, looking out at the winter landscape, assessing, planning, deciding what today will bring. There will be work, hard work, finding food, maintaining shelter, surviving. But for just this moment there's peace, there's relief, there's the simple, profound joy of having made it through another night. You made it. They made it. Humans made it. Not all humans, not every family, not every night, but enough. Enough survived. Enough continued. Until eventually, across thousands of generations and tens of thousands of winters, humans emerged from caves, built shelters, created agriculture, developed technology, until humans created the world you live in today, where sleeping in a warm bed is a given, not a miracle, where winters are an inconvenience, not a death sentence. But deep in your DNA, in the oldest parts of your brain, the memory remains. The memory of dark caves and flickering fires, of huddling together for warmth, of surrendering to sleep not knowing if you'll wake. And the memory of gratitude, profound, bone-deep gratitude for each morning, each sunrise, each new day. That's what this story has been about. Not just ancient history, but remembering something we've almost forgotten, that sleep is sacred, that rest is survival, that surrender is strength, that closing your eyes in darkness is an act of faith. Faith that morning will come, that light will return, that you'll wake again. Your ancestors had that faith. Even knowing the risks, even knowing the dangers, they closed their eyes anyway. They trusted the night. And because they did, you're here. So tonight, as you close your eyes in your comfortable bed, in your warm room, in your safe home, remember them. The ones who slept in caves, the ones who faced the darkness with nothing but fire and faith, remember them, honor them. And rest easy, because you've earned it. Your ancestors earned it for you, through a million nights of survival, through countless winters of endurance. You are the morning that they hoped for, the future they dreamed of, the light they believed would come. So sleep. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. Sleep with the gratitude of someone who survived something impossible. Because in the deepest sense you did, your lineage did, your genes did. And tomorrow, when you wake to a new day, remember where you came from. Remember the caves. Remember the fire. Remember the courage it took to close your eyes in the darkness and trust that morning would come. It always has, and it always will. The sun is rising, the cave is growing bright, and a new day is beginning. For you, for me, for all of us. Sleep well, my friend. You've come a long way, through time and darkness and survival, and you're home now, safe, warm, protected, just like they were, in their cave, in their time, connected across millennia by the simple, profound act of closing your eyes and trusting the night. Rest now, dream deeply, and wake renewed. The journey is complete.